We'll move on. We've got time for one more question. And it's from Charlotte Jones, please. It's a question that affects everybody in this room, I think. Charlotte Jones.
Following on from Ed Balls' speech at the Labour Party conference this week and the heavy criticism for the HS2 project from so many independent bodies, isn't it about time this government scrapped HS2?
HS2, of course, being the high-speed railway line that's planned from London. It goes through Ruislip in Hillingdon, which is just near here, and then sets off, and then will set off, if it's built, to the north, to Birmingham, to Manchester, and points beyond. Patrick O'Flynn.
Well, my party is against HS2 and wants it scrapped straight away, completely.
All right.
And, can I just say, we've got a clear position on it. I think Ed Balls was very cynical because he's kind of sitting on the fence, but the effect of what he said will make it very hard for the project to make much progress anyway over the next couple of years. But I think it's an enormous vanity project, and the money could be vastly better spent on 10 large projects or 20 medium-sized projects, updating our whole public transport infrastructure. It's the wrong project. The cost-benefit analysis hasn't been done correctly either. It's ludicrous.
Michael Gove, you're in government. You
yes.
Could scrap it if you wanted.
Well, I don't think we should. I think it is the right decision for Britain. On Patrick's point, of all places, of course, in Uxbridge, it's going to be, I think, certainly a contested proposition, but at best. But on Patrick's point about investing in other transport infrastructure, he's right. We should invest in other transport infrastructure, and this government is. 3 times as much public money is going into other transport schemes as into HS2. And the reason why we need another rail line on the West Coast is that the capacity constraints under which our rail system operate mean that we need another line. If we didn't have HS2, then we'd simply recreate the existing West Coast main line with all the problems, the lack of speed, the lack of effective capacity that we've already witnessed. One of the sad things in this country is that every time a major infrastructure decision has come forward, there have always been people who've tried to find reasons to say no. They've always tried to find a rare bird or a great-crested newt. They've always tried to find reasons why, if this would go ahead, the money could be better spent elsewhere. As a result, our infrastructure is inadequate to our needs. I think that building High Speed 2 would also ensure not just that we can take goods and individuals around this country more quickly and more efficiently, it would also ensure that the inequalities that exist in our country, with the South disproportionately wealthy, disproportionately a place for inward investment, could be redressed, because it would literally bind the nation more effectively, and it would make the north of England and Scotland easier places in which inward investment could be attracted.
Point made. The woman here in the second row.
Can I just say, don't you want to spend the money on more teachers and books for the schools?
We are.
You can't spend the same money twice, Michael.
No, but we are. But the good thing is that education spending has been protected. I mean, we can have a debate about how effectively it's being spent. But the great thing about the coalition is that even in very, very tough times, when there have been some incredibly tough decisions, we've been able not only to protect education spending, but also to increase capital spending on schools.
HS2, Louise Cooper.
OK, cost-benefit analysis, schmalalysis, OK? I'm letting you into a secret, and it's not that great a secret. Economic models are rubbish.
Are you in favour of being scrapped?
If it costs 42 billion, then they'll come out with a cost-benefit analysis that's greater than 42 billion or 50 billion or whatever it costs.
Do you think it should be scrapped?
I think the money, in austere times, could be better spent elsewhere.
OK. The person in the very back there, you. Back at the top there, yes.
I travel a great deal by train, and one thing I notice is that on most of the long-distance rail routes, there is a train every hour, or there is 2 trains an hour, and I can't believe that making those existing routes run a train every 15 minutes, every 20 minutes, isn't vastly cheaper than building a new massive railway line. I'd also comment, I happen to be a pilot, I occasionally fly myself on business. There are routes in this country where I can fly myself in my own aeroplane to a meeting cheaper than going by second-class rail. And for as long as that's the case, we really don't want to be spending a vast amount more money on additional railway lines.
Douglas Alexander, is Labour trying to come out from under this HS2 project with what Ed Balls said at the conference?
It may disappoint members of the audience, but we support a north-south railway, but we think it is entirely sensible to say there cannot be a blank cheque for this project. Last month we saw the project costs go from 32 billion to 42 billion. Any responsible opposition should be saying at that point you have to properly scrutinise the cost.
Do you support 42 billion?
Well, this new chap has been appointed today. His first task has to be to look at the 42 billion. We're not clear as to why you've seen the inflation that we've seen even in recent weeks, and that's why Ed Balls was entirely right to say there can't be a blank cheque.
To an audience here of people who are directly involved one way or the other, would you be saying the likelihood is we'll go for it or the likelihood is we're going to cancel it?
That depends on the costs, in the sense that we see the merit in taking forward this project, but it can't be on the basis of it costing ever larger sums. Okay. Let me just explain to you why I support it, because it answers this gentleman's question. One of the reasons train fares are going up is because of the level of congestion on the railway. You know, the West Coast Main Line that people see as an alternative was built in 1837 for Queen Victoria's coronation. Now, are we honestly saying when most of the train paths, for example, going out of Euston at peak times are now filled, that we are relaxed at the prospect of Birmingham, Manchester, Leeds and London not having greater connectivity in the economy in the future? That I think there is an issue of congestion that cannot simply be addressed by existing train fleets. There is a question in terms of whether this is an affordable project given the uplift in finance that we've seen in recent months, but it is right that it should be explored.
OK. The woman in pink there in the third row. From the back.
So to Louise's point, we know how much it's going to cost, or at least how much it's going to cost.
No, my point is the benefit of it is up in the air. Who knows what the economic benefit is?
Exactly. When are we going to see some robust numbers on what we're going to get? Because when I spend money, I want to know what I'm going to get back for it.
All right. And you, sir, over there on the left there. Yes.
Yeah, this is going to be the biggest vanity project ever brought forward in this country. All it is for vain politicians to put their name to it, and then they think that, years later they'll think, oh, what a great project. It's going to be unattainable. It's not going to be effective. It's going to be too expensive. There's going to be things like video conferencing, which allows people to talk to each other. They don't need to travel by train.
And another, you sit up there. On that gangway there, if you can get to
Will the Labour Party tell us before the next election what their final view is on this and stick to what they say?
Will the Labour Party say what their view is?
Before the next election and stick to what they say?
Oh, I expect we'll set out our position on this when we see whether this number of 42 billion is robust.
Will Self.
Well, it's the same companies who are involved in costing this were the ones who costed the Olympics so well. They've already trousered 50 million in consultancy of it, of your money, by the way. I mean, it's Buggin's turn, isn't it? You wait for a high-speed or a decent rail service to come along, and then it's the wrong one when it does chip up. And the arguments that are presented by the panel don't add up in my mind. It seems to me that the problem with our rail infrastructure goes way back into the depths of time and into the reliance we placed on road. I mean, where we lagged behind on our continental cousins was that they saw that freight should be carried by train and we didn't. And the government is still in the pocket of the road lobby. There's a lot of weird stuff going on at the Department of Transport over massaging figures on car use. Okay. So, you know, it's all pretty weird. But, you know, the cost, you know, there are not going to be these robust figures. But don't be all nimbyist about it. It's a crap idea wherever you live.
All right. All right. Time's up, I'm afraid. We have to stop there.